Welcome to the Key to Growth podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you're in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success starting now.
Hey friends, it's Jen McKee, your host of the Key to Growth podcast. If you're a home service leader who's ready for bigger growth, stronger leadership, and more visibility in 2026, listen up. I'm hosting something brand new. The Growth Experience is a powerful 2-day conference happening right here in my hometown of San Antonio, Texas. This event is designed for you if you are an owner or leader who wants to scale smarter with profit-first financial clarity, stronger leadership and sales systems, real operational efficiency, how to use AI tools, and of course, modern marketing visibility that actually works. You're going to learn from incredible speakers, connect with the brightest minds in the trades, and walk away with strategies you can use immediately in your business. VIP spots will even get full content capture experience in two deep dive workshops on confidence, leadership, and storytelling. Tickets officially go on sale January 8th if you have saved your seat on the waitlist. Waitlist gets first access, best pricing, and early VIP access. So go to thegrowth-experience.com to get on the list. Trust me, this is a room you're going to want to be in. March 30th through April 1st, 2026 in San Antonio, Texas. See you there. Welcome back, everyone, to the Key to Growth podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and today I am here with another former McKee. No, I'm here with Erica Leonor. I am so excited to have her here. She's been a great supporter in our conference journey, but also just an incredible person who has so much to share with us today. So, Erica, if people don't know who you are, please let them know who you are.
Thanks, Jen. I love this. And yes, 100%. My maiden name is McKee. So, you know, all these different relations here. Proud of it. So, Leonor is Dominican. So that's where I'm at now. You probably see me around. I love to travel and go to all the trade shows and meet up with friends and contractors all over the country, as I know you do as well. Women in HVAC, I think, was where we first met. And
yeah, for sure.
Super fun. But yeah, if you're curious about my background, it's filled with 16 different swords and weapons from the Lord of the Rings. So if anybody ever wants to nerd out on Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth or all things Tolkien, I am just a message away because I could talk about it all day long. I just had a baby, so I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-month-old. And so we are in just newborn heaven. And then my husband and I have a company called Voxa, which is a CSR development and training company. And so, you know, we really believe in developing CSRs to the point where it's not just like, here's some training, here's how to answer the phone, but developing them as people, as leaders, and finding power in their voices and what they're capable of doing. So I'm excited to talk about that today.
I love that. And also, one thing that was just really interesting about how you introduced yourself, and I've never done this, and I love this, is that you just introduced a bunch of like really personal things about yourself before your business side. Like, you were very clear on not tying your identity directly to what you do. And I admire that so much because I never know how to word that. So that was really beautiful. And also, I love that you're so passionate about Lord of the Rings. I've never seen any of those movies, so I'm not the person to talk to you, but someone call Erica, because if you're not watching this, she definitely has a whole collection behind her.
Yes. Well, my heart is broken a little bit. You need a marathon. So.
I know. I'm like, I'm if I say something, I'm just gonna end up saying it wrong. But I have the worst taste in books and movies. I just watch like rom-com. I read rom-com and that's it. I don't go anywhere else with it.
Oh my
so
gosh, that's the best.
Maybe one day.
Well, you know, both my daughters are named after Lord of the Rings too. So it's like,
so cool.
We are like, this is part of our culture. You know what I mean?
Did you guys? Okay, so my husband and I were huge Spurs fans. Whenever we met, my husband still is, like, San Antonio Spurs. So we actually had a Spurs wedding. Did you guys have a Lord of the Rings wedding?
Not a wedding because we kind of eloped, but we had definite like the baby or the not baby showers, the bridal shower and all of that stuff was very like Rivendell themed. Elf
That's
themed.
so cool.
Yeah, totally.
I
I can't
love
wait
that.
because every March New Zealand hosts a Hobbiton where you can run a half marathon through like the Hobbiton area. So I
Wow.
can go to New Zealand in March and run a half marathon dressed up like a hobbit or an elf or an orc or whatever I decide to be. So
You're going to do that
I
this year?
totally do that. Probably not this year, but
Yeah.
we're looking at probably next year. So
Cool.
I mean,
That's
I
awesome.
did do a half marathon this close postpartum.
Yeah.
So
I know. I'm like, that takes training.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So fun. That's super cool. Okay. So I want to first start with like, how did you become so passionate about this CSR training? What is your background that led you there?
Yeah, so I had started years and years ago in just this personal growth journey. You know, like I didn't know what mindset was about. And I just remember one day my mom invited me to go to a conference with her and just got me really sucked into like, oh my gosh, like the development of self and what does that mean? And so I started making vision boards and I started learning about positive affirmations and I started getting into this world where I'm like, how have I never learned about this before? And my mom's like, sorry, I didn't know either. I would have taught you when you were a kid. But we kind of went on this journey together. And then we started teaching and offering classes and we would go to different, companies around Utah, which is where I live and, music companies. And they would let us, use their studio room to like teach these classes. And we would teach people about mindset and development and goals and habits and all of these things. So I've really been passionate about for a lot of years. And then I got into the trades. Learned a lot about how businesses work and technicians, CSRs, sales, all of that. And so it was really fun to take a lot of that communication training and experience I've had and apply it to a very specific niche. And so then I just realized too, a lot of times like CSRs are often treated as like the lowest person on the totem pole. And that's changing a lot, but there's still some of that there. People don't invest in them as much as they invest in technicians and salespeople or even marketing. And my biggest thing is like CSRs are just part of your marketing. And that's one of the big things I would love anyone to take away from today is if you spend so much money for marketing, right? And you know that social media, website, whatever it is, and your CSR answers the phone and says, thank you for calling, blah, 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 blah. My name is Erica. How can I help you? It's like, okay, nothing is matching here. And if you're trying to develop people's voices and have enthusiasm and just this excitement, and you're doing that through humans as well as through your marketing, you want it to match. You can't have an awesome branding voice and not have a human voice to match it. And that's just where a lot of things get lost. So, I mean, we can dive into a lot of that today, but just super, that CSR world and that communication, that human interaction, even with AI, like that power in that voice is so important.
So what are some of so when you first come in, like why does somebody decide that they should reach out to you? Like what does that journey normally look like?
Like to work with me?
Yeah, to like start training their CSRs. Because what I want to get at, what I'm like where I'm going with this is like, first of all, like if you're listening to this, do you have a problem? Like, is this actually something that you do need? And I know the Key to Growth podcast, like we talk a lot about marketing resources, and I know I want to even dive further into your CSRs being a part of your marketing team, but we know that like marketing only works if you're able to then convert them into a booked call, which then like it's a part of the journey. But so what are some clues or some things that are like, man, maybe we should start looking at our CSR team. Maybe we should invest in them.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you. And investing in so many platforms and marketing is like, you want to invest just as much in your people as well. And no matter how much AI and technology is developing, like you can't lose out on the human connection. Like there's always going to be need for people and that human empathy and understanding. And that's what people call you for is I need someone to understand that I have this problem and this pain. And so the problem that we solve with CSR development, we actually like to call them CSLs, like customer service leaders. And how are you taking control and ownership of this journey that they have over the phone, setting those expectations, gearing your technicians up for success? I'll give an example. So my husband and I have been going to the same dentist for like 7 years. Okay. We've always had a good experience with them. I really like my hygienist. Super awesome. Well, even it was just yesterday. We were late. Okay. We ran into traffic trying to get both kids in the car. You had a baby meltdown. You had to change diapers, all these things. Then the road was closed. We had to take a huge detour. So, I mean, we were like 17 minutes late. Okay. And we called them. We let them know we're on our way, but we get there. And the person behind the desk is like, oh, sorry, we can't get you in. Like, you're going to have
no.
We're just all standing there like car seat, baby, everything. And we're like, it took so much for us to just get here. And like, it is our fault. We're very sorry, but we're here. Like, what can we do? And we have a 4-year-old. It's like they brush her teeth. Like, she's literally a 10-minute appointment. Okay.
No kidding.
And so it was like, she's like, nope, it's against our policy. Like, nothing we can do. And my husband was like, is there anyone we could talk to? No, I'm the only one here. Anyway, so super frustrated. He got really just sad about this. He's like, we've really liked coming here, but this one interaction, this one person destroyed it.
Yeah.
We're sad. And he's like, we're not going back. And I was like, really? After 7 years? He's like, no, I'm not going back. So he called a new dentist place this morning and he talked to them. He's like, hey, we had a bad experience here. We're looking for someone new. And she's like, well, we are the best. Not going to put anyone else down, but we do the best work. And he's like, sold. Just because the customer service person really used those reassuring, confident words like, hey, we're the best. You should pick us. We do a really great job. She backed it up with her communication skills. And he's like, but the only thing that sold him on this new dentist office, we're the best.
Yeah.
Like, that's it, really? And that's the power of our voice. That's the power of, can we say those kind of things? Do we have the courage to say those kind of things where it feels maybe a little bit off, but using that kind of spunk and that excitement of, hey, we're the best. You should pick us. You're going to have a great experience. You know, you called the right place.
Yeah.
That's what sells people. And it's not like you're doing anything special or secretive. You're just loving your voice and what it represents.
I actually really love that. And it makes me think that maybe one of the first things that a contractor or owner listening to this can look at is, what is it, the normal conversion rate of these different calls that your CSRs are taking? Because oftentimes we can get so blinded into like, well, they didn't really need us, or the reason that they didn't book is this, but like, what was the actual reason? Because you're right, there's so much that goes into like why we make decisions as consumers. I agree with experiences that I've had with people that just make you feel really good and experiences that make you feel really bad. And you're like, so is there like a number that they could look at, or even like, what are the different calls? Are you bucketing them into like, these are the different types of calls that CSRs are typically getting, and here's how you can convert all of them? Because I know we haven't like directly said it yet, but like your CSRs is the first conversion point in your business. Like, not just because somebody has a problem and they call you for it doesn't mean that you already got them as a customer.
Exactly. Like, even though you just spent hundreds and thousands of dollars on your marketing, like, you can lose it in one phone call, which is really sad. So yes, look at your conversion rate. And depending on if you have service Titan or whatever it is, you know, you can pull up some of those numbers. But what's really important, and going back to a previous question you had, is how do I know if I need to train my CSRs? Here's one of the first things you can look for. If you have anybody on your team that says, oh, I know that they were just looking for a price. They're just a price shopper.
Right.
Or they're a tire kicker, or they only care about window shopping. If you ever have somebody on your team use that language, that is a trigger right there. Oh, we got to change this mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's not, they're a price shopper. Yeah, of course I care about the price, but what I care more about is having my water heater fixed. What I care more about is my garage door being able to open and I can get my car out of it. What I care more about is my thermostat is actually accurate and I'm nice and comfortable in the winter or cool in the summer. Like, that's what I truly care about. And price is an extension of that, right? And so first thing I look for, if anybody's like, oh, price shopper, trigger, let's get you some training. Let's get some mindset and development coaching, because if we can change our mindset of, people call you and say, hey, how much do you charge to come out? Well, how do you handle that? Oh, it's $200 for us to come out. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Nothing's differentiating you anymore. And so now it's like, what differentiates you is your voice.
Yeah.
So, Jen, I'm so glad you called. Thank you so much. We would love to help you. Talk to me, describe to me everything that's going on. We want to hear it all.
Yeah.
And like really engaging with people. And that's one of the things we teach, is how to engage, how to have that empathy, how to have that excitement, enthusiasm, and just connecting that voice power to that brand and experience. Because I see amazing marketing companies, Jen. I see you guys doing people's social media. I see awesome content out there. I see great messaging. Okay. People can do a really good job with their marketing. I will secret shop that company. Next thing I know, unbooked calls. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure like your call conversion is good, but double checking too, like certain lead sources. I have seen places where they're like, oh, we're spending a lot of money on certain lead sources. And my CSRs, do a really good job, let's say from Facebook leads, but don't do a very good job from a different lead source. And it's like looking into those numbers a little bit and be like, okay, what is it about the social media feeds or leads versus other leads? And then get training in that aspect. So you can get all of those conversion rates up. There's like a lot of cool things that you could do to dive into this to develop your team.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that you're starting with mindset, and I love this so much. And so if you're somebody that feels like this is super like woo-woo or not important, and I only bring that up because we know that some people are really turned off by this because it seems too easy. But I also know that my job as a leader in my company is to protect the mindset of my team and help them constantly look at things in a different light, because there is always opportunity wherever there doesn't look like there is, like no matter what, even if then they still don't convert. I do believe that is such a cool and interesting place that you guys start. So what does that journey kind of look like for y'all for the CSR training?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's starting with that mindset because you have to get developed first, right? Because if you don't change, nothing's going to change. And so it's working on that mindset, but it's also a lot of this like getting out of comfort zone. We haven't experimented a lot sometimes with our voice. Like we're always told, don't be too loud or don't be too quiet, or you're going to be too over the top. You're too shy. You're too much of cheese ball, Erica, right? And people will say all these certain things that kind of put us into this box of our voice and the inflection and the tone and all of those things. And so part of this development is actually getting the wiggles out in your voice. And so one of the things that we do, and totally do this with your teams too, like if you're a manager or a leader, or I don't care what role you have in the company, this could be a great like role play practice, is let's say that you have a greeting and you're going to tell your team, hey, this is our slogan, or this is what's on the billboards. This is what we're working for right now. You guys get that message and you say, okay, Jen, let's practice. Answer the phone as if you're completely bored. Okay, like you don't care at all. So you're going to answer the phone and you're going to be like, thank you for calling, right? But now I'm going to say, Jen, do it in a British accent. And so now you're going to try and answer the phone in a British accent. And now I'm going to say, do it in an Indian accent. Do it in a Southern accent. Do it in all these different accents. Now do it super excited. Now do it like, I'm going to give you 5 or 6 different things to try with your voice, because you've got to get the wiggles out to kind of find what is your voice. What does it sound like for you? And so once you get the wiggles out, now you're like, okay, I know what it sounds like to be crappy. I know what it sounds like to be great. I know what it sounds like for me to be too over the top. And you kind of just get into this area where like, oh, your voice opens up. That diaphragm opens up. And now you find that power. And so even just doing something like that is, it sounds like a silly activity or too simple. But physically speaking, it changes how we sound, as a human being. So.
Yeah, that's fun. I think too, you mentioned like different lead sources. And so we do social media. And so we work with people on their Facebook ads, and Facebook ads are such a different type of conversion. So we're always trying to optimize that part of it. Like, how can we get more conversion out of Facebook leads? And it 1,000% starts with the CSRs being educated into what the offer is like, and then knowing like how to take somebody, like you just said, on this journey from, oh, well, actually, like we didn't have that problem. We had a different problem. Okay, well, bye, rather than like, well, let me see if I can help you with that problem, So what have you seen as far as training goes on these different lead sources or different types of calls that CSRs are getting?
Yeah. So I've noticed like certain lead sources, you'll have a majority of people ask certain things. So like social media, I see a lot of customers call in and just, I saw you guys on Facebook. How much do you charge for this? Like they do seem like they would be those price shoppers, right? And so it's really just practicing and training with your team. Okay, just knowing whoever's in charge of the social media feeds or the Facebook leads, let's really just hone down strong on how to navigate these pricing questions.
Yeah.
You have people that maybe are on a little bit tight of a budget. Well, what kind of tools and solutions do we have for tight budget people? Do we have any marketing coupons that are going on right now? What kind of financing are we offering?
Right.
What kind of different options are there? Because we know if you're a great technician or salesperson, you're offering different options, because if you don't offer options, it's a yes or a no. But if you offer multiple options, you're going to pick one of them most likely.
Yeah.
And just like winning over the customer, depending on their budget. Yes, don't get me wrong. You are going to have the paying customers. You're going to have the customers that you might never want to service again. Like, I get it. It's not like a perfect world. Okay.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about it is that starting with you is like, what tools do I have? And just being prepared with the tools. I really encourage CSRs to get in on a marketing meeting at least, once a month or however often you are changing your promotions or your offers. And then CSRs, taking those phone calls. It's really, really important that you have somebody analyzing your recorded phone calls. I know
Yeah.
AI does a lot of it. AI will analyze it, send you report cards. But what's super interesting is that one of the things my husband is just amazing at is, yes, AI can do a lot of that for you, but he goes in and he just pulls the phone calls and he's like, that's very interesting. AI didn't pull that out, right? Because
Right.
AI can't still connect with and understand certain things. And
AI is not good at tone and like how not good at that. Like it can track. I mean, I know it can track some of the tone, but it is just like the nuances that communication has. It's very hard for AI to pick up on.
It is. Like, there's this one example here of, AI picked up on like, oh, this phone call just wasn't booked. So my husband went in and listened to it. The lady was like 78 years old. Okay. You could tell if you were a real human, you could tell she was very elderly.
Yeah.
You needed to speak slower and you needed to have a different kind of conversation with her. And then maybe somebody that's Erica, like, hey, I need someone out here now. I need hot water. You know what I mean? Like, AI robots can't do that. And so it's so important. If you do not have a human just checking in on those recorded phone calls, the AI is awesome. Okay. Like, use it. It's a tool. It gives you a general idea. But if you want some specific training for your team, if you are an in-house trainer or manager or team leader, whatever it is, go listen to a couple of those phone calls and try to find those nuances. Because what's interesting is customers typically will give you 3 to 5 different things to care about. They're going to say, hey, I just got home from work. Traffic was bad. I found out that my AC was frozen over. And now you have like, okay, traffic is really bad. They don't work from home. They have a long commute. And like, oh my gosh, how long is your commute? Like, there's always these little things that human can connect with that builds that rapport and that relationship that a robot will never be able to do. And so having a human to review those things and do that one-on-one training with, that's what we offer. But also, like, a lot of places have team leads that can do that too. And, having those good reports, having those good kind of feedbacks with your team, like, that's invaluable.
Keyheart Marketing specializes in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to build your brand awareness or drive leads using social media ads. If you're ready to elevate your social media, go to keyheartmarketing.com or follow us on social media. Do you encourage leadership and owners to incentivize CSRs in any way? Or like, how do they continue to, once they've gone through a training, either keep up the training or know that there's improvement?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's one of the things that we do with our scorecards is we'll take the phone calls. And if you have AI doing it, that's great. But we're going to take and do live feedback from you for your team. And that's really important too, because you have somebody who can not only see like, was this call booked or unbooked? A lot of times if you have someone through training, like, have they done half the training? Have they done the whole training? Like, have they had training on a happy call? And it's really hard to grade somebody on something that they haven't been trained on yet. And so, you want to make sure to keep that stuff into consideration along with the effort. Like, there have been times where I have used every tool in my toolbox and a customer was still like, no, I'm going to call around. Okay.
Yeah.
This is me using every tool that I have. Like, there are some times where every effort that I put forth, like, about 1% of time, like, customers still won't choose you. But if I am going to be a trainer, like, Erica, you did everything right. Absolutely. Use this tool, use this tool, use this solution. Like, you came up with it. You were trained on it. You did a great job. There's just going to be some times where the customers won't do it. And so that kind of feedback is really important. So having those type of scorecards, those evaluations and reviews. I'm a big person on like how to give feedback in a good way. I hate the sandwich method. Jen, you're really good at this, but you kind of didn't do a very good job with this, but don't worry, you're really good at this. Like feedback in that sandwich method is, I feel, not very productive for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's a whole other topic, but like giving feedback on these phone calls, like it's a very delicate situation, right? It's somebody's voice you're evaluating. And so
Yeah.
to be very kind about it, but also like, how can we do better? And so there's just so many things to do to help develop your people.
Yeah. So I'm curious about what your thoughts are on AI CSRs and what, like, obviously we know that AI is constantly changing and that even as a society, our, like, how we accept it in our life is always going to be constantly changing. But also AI is prevalent in the industry, which is great. So how do you like, what are your thoughts around that? How can it be utilized? And can we even make it better? Like, do the tools that you use for human CSRs also apply to AI in ways that if someone's already using an AI tool, they could actually make it better?
Absolutely. Yeah. I know a lot of companies that, will go through our training, but then also have an AI person. You want them to match, right? You got to train your AI to match the training that your humans have. So that's the first thing. You want the brand, voice, and message to be consistent, whatever that journey is, from, marketing to the phone to the technician to the happy call to the service agreement, right? Like you want it all to be streamlined. But with AI, it's very important. Like I have called some heating and air conditioning companies, and because I'm in the industry, like I could immediately tell it was AI, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I know I can talk to it like a person. But some people don't have that experience, right? They're not used to it. And so number one is if you call or if a customer calls you and they feel like they're duped, like they felt
Yeah.
like we were talking to a human and then all of a sudden they're not,
Yeah.
hang up the phone and they are mad.
Yeah. That feels like a loss of trust.
Absolutely. You cannot do that. So the first thing I recommend doing is training your AI to tell people that it's AI.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, thank you for calling ABC, XYZ, heating and air conditioning or plumbing or whatever. My name is Erica. I'm going to be your virtual assistant today. My goal is to help get all the information prepared so that I can transfer you over to a human rep to finish out the process. Let's go ahead and get this nitty gritty out of the way. What's that address? What's the problem? If I can be up front and be like, hey,
I think so
a
too.
robot, then people can be like, oh, I can tell my address to a robot.
Yeah.
I will get to talk to a human. So that's one of the first things, is just training them. Like, don't be scared to try and dupe somebody. No, tell them you're a robot. They're going to hang up you if they find out different anyway. So like, just be honest about it.
I think so too. I think that's always the differentiator. It's just like, I am an AI assistant, or even like, if you don't want to talk to me, you can wait, or you can whatever, like whatever that next step is, you can talk to this person. But yeah, I agree with that. What about for outbound calling? So that takes like, it almost feels like cold calling or like a whole different level of reach out. Is that like, should owners expect that out of everyone? Is that like, obviously some really different training? What is your kind of thoughts on and training on that?
Yeah. So with outbound calls, you want to have multiple people trained on different things, right? Because eventually like someone's going to get sick or need some time off or whatever, right? But to start, you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen, right? If you say, okay, everybody, you answer inbound, you do outbound, you do happy calls, nothing gets done because someone's like, oh, so-and-so is going to do it, or someone like this person get the slack. And so it's kind of nice to silo it off to about 2 people that get trained really good on something, and then bringing more people in until you have a good system down. But with outbound calling, what outbound call are you making? There's so many different kinds. Are you a dispatcher calling to reschedule a customer?
Yeah.
And people know that's a fun one. People hate doing that because you're like, oh my gosh, someone's going to get mad at me because I'm rescheduling, right? So you got to get really good at the reschedule call. Are you outbounding to renew a membership? Well, are they not on auto renewal, right? Things to think about. Are you outbounding to do a happy call? Are you outbounding to follow up on an unsold estimate?
Right.
So these are very specific training communication techniques. Like you want to have somebody trained in really good sales if you're doing your inside sales, right?
Yeah.
They might not need to be trained on happy calls if they're focused on inside sales. But the golden nugget with any outbound phone call, just like an inbound phone call, is it has principles and a process that you got to follow. right? It's not just a free for all. It's not just a cold call. So what we call it is, what is the DNA of your call, right? What is the DNA? Like, what is the genetic makeup of an inbound call and outbound call? And they're very similar, but they have a distinction to them.
Yeah.
And if you can do those things, if your call feels like it's never going to go off in the wild, like if you're following just a general process, you know, your customers might throw something at you, but you know what the DNA is. You know the points you need to hit, and you can follow those. So if you're very specific on outbounding, like, okay, I need training on this specific type of phone call, we can help with that. Scripts are great. I definitely believe in having a good script, because there's really great ideas from that, but not to rely solely on that, because you don't want your human to be a robot. You can just get a robot to be a robot.
Yeah.
So great place to start, but ultimately you want it to be, what is the DNA? Like, what are the points we need to hit, train, and practice? So,
okay. What is like a one of the biggest things that you're seeing pop up over and over again that you guys are training on or helping with, or just like the consistent topic of conversation when y'all are training internally right now?
There's a couple of different ones on this one. Is there's several places that have expressed to us that they're just like, I don't feel confident in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you listen to their phone calls and you're like, you would never think that, right?
Yeah.
You pull out the customer service voice. I tell everybody, like, hey, name your customer service voice. Like, are you pulling out Patricia here, right? Like, get your Patricia ready to go. And so have that voice, because it is a little different, your phone voice versus your normal voice. Have that, and just know, like, it's okay. Like, you can change. You don't have to talk like this all the time, but you always want to have your customer service voice turned on when you answer the phone.
Yeah.
But what's very interesting is, like, this confidence is, people are like, oh, I just don't feel like I'm doing very good. Or they're getting an evaluation back, or they had a one-on-one and they feel like they're being brought down, or like, oh, I messed this up or something. I would just encourage people, like, it's not personal, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a good leader, like, or a good trainer or a good coach, whoever you're working with, like, they're doing it because they want to help you grow. And they see these little steps you can take to just pivot, and it's gonna make a whole difference. Like, the little details will make the big difference. And so it's not being nitpicky. It's saying, hey, if you just adjust this little thing here, this whole part of the conversation will go different. Or if you do this in your email, if you do this in your text, right? Like, you are a contact center. You're not just a call center anymore. You have multiple forms of communication with people. And so just really developing that confidence, and confidence comes from practice and repetition. But here's the kicker. I could answer 100 phone calls a day. That's repetition. But is it the right repetition?
Right. If you're doing it the wrong way, you're just solidifying the wrong thing.
Exactly. So just paying attention to those things, and really practicing, role playing, and being willing to get feedback. I get it. Feedback's hard. People don't like listening to their own voice sometimes. The more you do it, though, the easier it gets.
No kidding. I was in an agency mastermind, and they're like, does anyone want to submit their sales call? And I'm like, sure, I'll submit my sales call. And then they were like playing it in front of the whole group on Zoom. And I was like, I am leaving this call. I will watch it later. I'm not going to watch myself do that.
I know. It is so hard. And it's like, do you go back and listen to all the podcast episodes you recorded? Do you go back and do things? And
I don't mind listening to like videos that I'm doing. I think it's really when you're like having a discovery call with somebody or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard.
A call that you don't expect someone else to listen to, I think that maybe is what makes it harder.
Yeah. Because you do feel like it's getting judged in a certain way, where ultimately it can be great learning opportunities for everyone. And so having that kind of courage, I know it's hard.
Yeah.
But if you're the first one, if you're like, hey, I'm willing, like, you submitted that phone call, that took courage, and guess what? You might do it again because you did it once.
Right.
And
I might not watch it again, but I might do it again.
But you
for
might
sure.
So yeah, confidence is a big one that I see it a lot on. And just like those pricing calls, like, people just, a lot of times people in the customer service role, like, you hire someone and you hear their phone calls and it's like, they really don't care. And sometimes they don't care. And here's why. They don't get paid very well.
Right. Well, that's why I asked about incentivizing. I was talking to someone not too long ago who said, like, why not incentivize your CSRs when to book these leads, to book these tire kicker leads, right? Like Angie's List and Facebook and like these people who it does take a little bit more and you might need to reach out to them 3 or 4 times before they actually convert. But
Yeah.
if you gave your CSRs $25 for every conversion, you know, and they like, would that make a difference to them, an extra $200, $300 on their paycheck every month? I mean, you have to figure out what motivates your team, but I thought that was a really great idea.
People should incentivize. Like, money isn't always what people love to be incentivized.
Yeah, it's not always the motivation, but you have to figure out what motivates.
But it usually is. Like, people
Yeah.
love, and they love big money too.
Yeah.
And so, you know, one of the things is that we do is like, if a company is like, I don't know how to incentivize my team, I don't know what to incentivize them on, what metric do I incentivize them on? You can opt into our program where it's like, we'll do the incentivization for you. We'll send the $500 gift cards. Like, hey, if you hit this on your scorecard, we're going to send you $500.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you're right. There's so many cool programs like that will do that for you.
Yeah. So that's one of the things we do. We'll check for it. We're the human people double checking for it. And then we'll send the money. We'll send the gift cards. And we'll, you know, and that way you don't have to worry about the incentivization yourself. It's a very specific thing because I know, like, I understand what decision fatigue is. I understand what overwhelm is because I have it in my own life. And so it's like, do what you're good at. And if you need someone to take over, like social media, right? That's why. And Jen, you guys get so much good feedback. Okay. Everybody who's worked with you loves working with Keyheart. Okay.
Thank you.
And here's why, is because social media is like Pandora's box. It's the Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets.
Right. Like, it like goes on and on. There's so much.
There's so much. And it's like, okay, do I want to figure this out? Am I capable of figuring it out? Yes, I am. Do I want to be a social media expert? Probably not.
Right.
And it's worth it to hire somebody who is and who loves doing it. And so that's just the thing. Find out for you, like, hey, you know what? I'm not into incentivizing, or I'm not a good CSR trainer, or I'm the one that answers the phone like, hey, this is Bill. Like, you need help. Okay, get someone else to do it and then go do what you're good at and be okay with that. Just be willing to let it go. And if you need to sing Frozen, let it go to help you let it go, then go let it go. Okay.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay. So on that note, we've come to our last question of the Key to Growth podcast, which we ask all of our guests. And that is, what is the key to growth?
Yes, I love that. The key to growth is Keyheart marketing. So,
right.
Social media growth. But the key to growth for communication and finding that power in your voice is, you know, it will look different for everyone, but I love to tell people, starting with yourself, you have to decide, number one, what it is you want. If you're like, vision boards are like snake oils, then don't do a vision board, okay? But I believe in vision boards, like putting it out there, like what it is that you want. What do you want to become? How do you want to feel? Because ultimately, and going back, and we're going to tie this all around, okay? You were talking about feelings earlier. It's like we base so much of how we feel in the moment, that trust. Our goal through marketing, through communication from CSRs, our goal is to create a feeling, okay? What feeling are we trying to create for our customers? I want to create a feeling of awesomeness, of trust, of confidence, of belief, of whatever. If you know what kind of feeling you want to create, then you can back that up. But if you don't know, you're just going to have this hodgepodge of people feeling whatever. But people will choose to work with you based off of a feeling, and your voice creates that feeling. And so starting with yourself, how do you want to feel as a person? Well, I want to feel inspired. I want to feel imbalanced. I want to feel creative. I want to feel hope. I want to feel peace. I want to feel present. Whatever it is, how do you want to feel? Start with yourself and start doing the things that will help you feel that. Because ultimately you are creating feelings for other people. And as much as, you know, somebody's like, oh, I'm a logical decision maker. No, you still base your decisions off of how you feel in the moment. Yeah. And so we want to connect with people's feelings. And that might sound wishy-gushy or whatever, but no, that is a hardcore truth of the universe. Is we make choices based off of how we feel. And so talk to yourself. What do you want to do to feel better? How do you want to feel? And your choices are going to start reflecting that. And then your output will reflect that as well.
It's setting intention.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, so if people want to find you and more about Voxa, where should they go?
Yes, you are more than welcome to find me on LinkedIn. You can email me directly which is Erica at callvoxa.com. You could probably ask Jen or a few other people.
Find her at Women in HVACR, probably.
The women's group, sisterhood stuff. Shout out to our sisterhood. There's a lot of places. So I'm pretty easy to find if you guys want. Erica Leonor. And thank you so much, Jen, for having me. You're absolutely amazing. I love your team. I love learning about how you're growing your company, but also how you're helping contractors grow as well. So it's awesome.
Thank you. This was great. Super, super ton of great information. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Jen.
We'll see you all next time.
Bye.